Have you ever noticed that somebody can look really good, but eventually their speech gives them away? And that's what happens here, is that this particular beast, his speech gives him away. Now, notice what it says. It says that this is a beast that comes out of the earth. And remember, a predator, again, we're using that word, he's a predator that comes out of the earth. So you have the first predator coming out of the sea of humanity, and I think that's kind of a given. I'll say that that's very likely what is being taught here. Comes out of the sea of humanity. The second one comes out of the earth. Now, I don't have any definite proof as to what this is all about. But you remember when we looked at the judgments, and it says that the abyss was open? Now, the abyss is the earth, like the earth was opened up, and out of the abyss came forth these demonic creatures, right? And so I think that when it says that this particular predator comes out of the earth, I think it is telling us that it's coming out of the bowels of the abyss. That this predator is demonic in nature. And so that's what we're dealing with. And he can take on whatever form. Just like angels, demons take on human form. They come in forms that they masquerade. And I think probably most of you at some point have encountered an angel. You might not know it, but you've encountered angels. Not realizing it. I know, I'm absolutely positive that I've had angelic encounters. And they've been phenomenal. You go away shaking your head, and you say, what was that? What was that all about? And they look like people. And so in the book of Hebrews, it says, many of you will entertain angels unaware. Angels without knowing it, because they take on a form that you just can't see through. And so I think that's what's happening here, is that some demonic entity is taking on a form that appears to be Christ-like and is so deceptive, because what is his program? What is he trying to do? He is trying to bring people to the place where they worship the beast. And he builds this image of the beast and gets people to bow down and worship it. And then we get into all that stuff. I look at chapter 13 and I say, this chapter has occupied so much of Christendom's time trying to go through it and trying to figure it out. I would say that it is totally unwarranted. Today we're taking 20 minutes to go through it. And I would say that's sufficient. We don't need to belabor it. But I know that Christians have tried to figure this out. What is 666? The mark of the beast. And what if I take it? And what if I don't take it? How's it going to come? And what if it deceives me? And they go through all of that rationalization and come to no conclusions, because there's no conclusions to come to. The facts are right here. This is all we need to know. And we don't need to look any farther. We don't need to speculate. This is what it says about the second beast. Verse 13, he performed great miraculous signs, causing fire to come down from heaven in full view of men. Because of the signs that he was given power to do on behalf of the first beast, he deceived the inhabitants of the earth. He ordered them to set up an image in honor of the beast who was wounded by the sword and yet lived. He was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast so that it could speak. This image could speak. Because all who refused to worship the image to be killed. He also forced everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on his right hand or on his forehead, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of his name. This calls for wisdom. If anyone has insight, let him calculate the number of the beast. His is a man's number. His number is 666. I don't care what 666 is. It's baffled people for centuries. And I'm not smart enough to figure it out, neither are you. So why should we try? Let's not worry about that. All we know is that there's coming a time when we're going to be demanded to worship the beast, which is really a representation of Satan. Ultimately, what it comes down to is it's satanic worship. That's what Satan wants. Satan wants the world to worship him. And that's what chapter 13 is all about. It's these two predators, one coming out of the seed of humanity, one coming out of the bowels of the earth, or out of the abyss. demonic in nature, and these two entities working together to get humanity to worship the dragon, or Satan. And that's why we had a lesson in chapter 12 about Satan. And that's why we have this chapter 13, is to let us know what Satan's intent is. All he wants is people to worship him. You know, that's all he wants. That's all Satan wants. If we could just give him worship, he'd be happy. And he'd no longer prowl around like a roaring lion. That's all he wants, is worship. And it's going to seem so innocuous and so pleasant that nobody's going to argue with it. And I've looked at this technological age and I'm thinking, it's going to be so easy. Because the masses are already bowing to the dragon. You know, totally absorbed in this technology. And we as Christians, I'm not saying no technology. That's kind of what I've chosen, you know, for myself. You know, what happened was when computers and that sort of thing first came in, I had a secretary. And so I said, Linda, will you do this for me? Linda, will you do this for me? And I never had to learn very much on computers because Linda, she'd do it for me. You know, type my sermons and do whatever I needed to have done. And so 25 years later, I look back and I thought, well, you know, she's been doing all this and I don't have a clue. Like, I'm lost. No catch up for me. I couldn't catch up if I wanted to catch up. And I don't want to catch up. And I did the same thing with telephones. Linda, make a call. Call this, call that. And so, you know, all I had was a flip phone. And I lost it when I was out hunting, probably about 6 or 8 months ago. And I've been promising myself I was going to replace it, but I haven't. So, you know, that's what my choice is, but I don't, you know, that's why I draw the lines. Remember I was preaching about drawing lines in the sand? I don't expect you to have the same lines as me. But you need to draw lines, and you need to be aware that there's danger out there. And it's not stranger danger. It's Revelation 13 danger. So just beware that you're not going to be fooled, okay? Nobody is going to receive the mark of the beast unintentionally. Yes. It's not going to be it has to be an intentional decision on our part to receive any mark. So don't worry. Don't be walking in fear thinking, oh no, have I gone too far? Have I gone too far? Have I gone too far? You know, maybe it's the iPhone 9 or I don't know out there right now, whatever the latest one is. Doesn't matter. You know, that's not what it is. We are not going to be deceived. And we're not going to be accused, because the accuser of the brethren has been shot down or cast down. So in chapter 13, the thing that we learn is that there are going to be these two entities that are going to seek to bring worship to Satan. It's going to come in all sorts of innocuous ways, but we, as God's people, shall not be fooled, because we are aware that the devil is going around like a roaring lion. Now, this is the simplistic view of chapter 12 and 13. Not trying to color it in. I'm not trying to, give you a whole bunch of information about all the little details, because that's just nitty-gritty that I don't understand. But these are things that I do understand, and my understanding is such that I am very wary of what the devil is doing. And I want to make sure that I am going to overcome him with the word of my testimony in the blood of the Lamb. Yeah, that's where I'm coming through here. Okay? So I don't know if I answered all the questions on the sheet. When I'm going through all of this, I try to give you the answers, and most of them have been probably on the overhead there. So this brings us to a conclusion of lesson 7, and we're going to take a few minutes break. But are there any questions, comments that you want to make at this point? Cut in and make your point now. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Have I offended anybody? Oh, I was trying so hard.
Okay, I'll have one for you.
Okay.
What is the source of authority of Satan? How does it relate to Satan on number 4?
Yeah, I don't have my questions here. Oh, maybe I do. Number 4.
Yeah.
What is the source of our authority, and how does it relate to Satan? The source of our authority is the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And that was the verse that I emphasized, Hutch, in chapter 12, or in, chapter 12, where it says, they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of the testimony. And it's chapter 12 and verse 11. Chapter 12 and verse 11 gives the answer to that question.
Okay,
Okay?
okay, thanks.
Okay, let's take a 5-minute break.